My name is Elena Whitmore, and the day my parents called me heartless, my sister was standing behind them smiling, not nervously, confidently, like she had already won. It's her dream, my mother said, her voice sharp with accusation. You have the money. Why wouldn't you help your own sister? Because I knew her dream wasn't built on discipline. It was built on expectation. Expectation that someone else would always carry the risk. I'm not investing, I said calmly. My father's face darkened immediately. Investing? He scoffed. This isn't business. This is family. Family, the word they only used when they needed something. Behind them, my sister Claire crossed her arms, wounded but theatrical. You don't believe in me, she said quietly. I did believe in her. I believed she would spend faster than she earned. I believed she would assume someone would rescue her, and I believed that someone, this time, wasn't going to be me. I hope it succeeds, I replied evenly, but I won't fund it. My mother shook her head in disgust. You've changed, she said. You're cold now. Cold, because I refuse to be responsible for something I didn't create. 3 months later, Claire's boutique opened anyway, and 6 months after that, my phone rang, not with celebration, with panic. It was my father. He didn't greet me. He didn't ask how I was. Elena, he said urgently, you need to come down here. Need, not want, not please. Need. I could hear chaos behind his voice. Raised voices, movement, something collapsing that couldn't be hidden anymore. What happened? I asked calmly. He hesitated. The boutique, he said, there's a situation. Situation, a word people use when the truth sounds worse. I drove there slowly, not rushing, because I already knew the front door of Claire's boutique was locked. The lights were off. A notice was taped to the glass. Claire sat on the curb, crying into her hands. 2 police officers stood nearby, speaking quietly with a man holding a clipboard. My father turned when he saw me. Relief flooded his face. You're here, he said. Not because he missed me, because he needed me. What happened? I asked again. Claire looked up, tears streaking her face. They said there's missing money, she whispered. They said accounts don't match. Missing money, not poor sales, not bad luck, something worse. My mother grabbed my arm tightly. You have to help her, she said. Have to? Like I was always supposed to clean up what they refused to prevent. They didn't know I had already seen this coming. The officers weren't loud. They didn't need to be. Authority doesn't shout. It stands still and waits. One of them glanced at me. Are you family? Yes, I said. He nodded once, professional but neutral. We're investigating financial discrepancies. Funds received from vendors don't align with reported payments. Discrepancies. Another soft word hiding something sharp. Claire's shoulders shook beside me. I didn't steal anything, she whispered. I just moved things around. Moved things. Money doesn't move itself. My father stepped closer to me, lowering his voice. They're saying it could become criminal. Could, but we both knew it would. My mother's grip tightened on my arm. You can fix this, she said urgently. You have the resources. Resources, not you have the right, not you have the responsibility, just the means. Claire looked at me with fragile hope. Elena, please. The same sister who had smiled when I said no months ago, the same family who called me heartless. I met her eyes. I warned you, I said quietly. My father's voice hardened. This is your family. No. This was their consequence, and they still didn't realize something important. I wasn't surprised because 3 months earlier I had already made one call. The call hadn't been emotional. It had been precise. 3 months ago, The day Claire announced she was opening the boutique without funding, I contacted my attorney. Not to stop her, to protect myself. Rebecca Klein listened carefully while I explained everything. The pressure, the expectation, the way my parents kept referring to our investment even after I refused. You need distance, she said clearly, legal distance. She drafted a formal notice, a simple document stating I had no ownership, no financial involvement, and no liability tied to Claire's boutique. We sent copies to Claire, to my parents, to the bank financing her startup. They laughed when they received it. My mother called it dramatic. My father called it insulting. Claire called it unnecessary. But banks don't laugh. Banks file. They record. They remember. Standing outside the seized boutique now, watching the officers move inside, I realized something had shifted. My father turned to me again. They're saying she could be charged, he whispered. My mother's voice cracked. If you just pay what she owes, they'll stop. Stop. Like money erased actions. I looked at Claire, then at the officers, then back at my parents. I can't pay for something I don't legally own, I said calmly. Their faces changed instantly because for the first time they realized I had already stepped outside their reach. They didn't accept it. Not immediately. You're choosing paperwork over your sister, my mother said, her voice trembling with disbelief. No. I was choosing reality over denial. My father pulled me aside, his voice low and urgent. She's your blood, he said. If this becomes criminal, it will follow her forever. Follow her. Like consequences were some external curse. Not something she created. Claire stood a few feet away, watching me like I was the last wall between her and collapse. How much? I asked calmly. My father hesitated. 42,000, he said quietly. The number hung in the air. Heavy. Impossible to ignore. You can pay that, my mother said quickly. It's nothing to you. Nothing. Except it wasn't nothing. It was accountability. It was precedent. It was permission for this to happen again. I won't, I replied. Claire's face broke. You're letting them arrest me, she whispered. No. She had walked herself there. My father's voice hardened. You don't understand how serious this is. I met his eyes steadily. I understand perfectly. Because what they didn't know is this. The call I made months ago wasn't just about distance. It ensured the investigation would never lead to me. The investigation deepened over the next 2 weeks. Bank statements. Vendor contracts. Transaction histories. Everything Claire had touched was examined. And my name never appeared, not once, because Rebecca had done more than file a notice. She had formally documented my refusal to participate, timestamped and verified. Every institution connected to Claire's boutique had written confirmation that I was not an investor, not an owner, and not responsible. My parents didn't understand what that meant. They still called me daily. You need to reconsider, my mother said one evening. This will destroy her life. Her life, not mine. Not the years I spent building stability while they dismissed it as selfishness. Claire called once. She didn't yell. She didn't accuse. She just cried. They're talking about charges, she whispered. They said intentional misreporting. Intentional. That word again. I didn't interrupt because there was nothing I could say that would change what had already happened. You could still help me, she added softly. I could, but help and rescue aren't the same. I can't change their investigation, I said calmly. And for the first time, she realized something they had never considered. I wasn't standing beside her. I was standing outside of it, protected. The formal notice arrived on a Thursday morning, not to me, to Claire. She called my parents immediately. I could hear my mother crying through the phone when they called me minutes later. "They're charging her," she said, her voice shaking. "Financial misrepresentation. They said if the money isn't recovered, it could escalate." Escalate. My father took the phone next. "You can still fix this," he said. "If the debt is settled, they may reduce the severity." May, not will. They were gambling with my stability now. "You don't understand," he added desperately. "She could lose everything." I closed my eyes briefly. So could I if I stepped into something that wasn't mine. "The bank knows I'm not involved," I said calmly. "It's already documented." Silence fell. Because documentation is stronger than emotion. Claire spoke next, her voice fragile. "Why did you protect yourself like that?" The question wasn't angry. It was confused because she had assumed I would always absorb the fallout. "Because I knew this could happen," I replied quietly. She didn't respond. Not because she didn't understand. Because she finally did. And in that moment, the safety net they always expected wasn't there anymore. The resolution didn't come through me. It came through truth. Claire's attorney negotiated a settlement with the bank. She admitted fault, agreed to a structured repayment plan, and avoided jail, barely. The boutique was liquidated. Every shelf, every rack, every sign sold to recover what she had lost. My parents never asked me for money again. Not because they stopped believing I could help. Because they finally understood I wouldn't. Weeks later, my mother called me. Her voice wasn't angry. It was quiet. "You knew," she said. "Yes." "You prepared." "Yes." She didn't accuse me. She didn't guilt me. Because guilt only works when someone feels responsible. "I thought family always rescued each other," she admitted. I stood by my window, watching the city move without pause. "Family also tells the truth," I replied calmly. Claire never reopened another boutique. She found a job. She rebuilt slowly, honestly. And for the first time, she lived within her own decisions. They had called me heartless when I refused to fund her dream. But the call I made wasn't about stopping her. It was about making sure her consequences belonged only to her.